Hi, everyone. I'm Carolina.
And I'm Amanda.
Welcome to the Booty Babble podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Tamara Renee, and she's a fascia therapist. And I have so many questions for her. I just recently did a session with her, and you, Amanda, saw her a couple of years ago.
Loved it.
So I'm excited to ask her a bunch of questions. All right. Welcome, Tamara Renee. We're so excited to have you on our podcast.
Thank you, my dear. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad we made the time. So I thought we could just start with you just giving us a little quick rundown of, who you are, what you do, and how you got involved in all this fascia stuff.
Well, I'm 61 and I've done a boatload of things in the natural health and beauty realm. I am currently calling myself an integrative tissue therapist and specialist. And the reason why I use those words is because when we think of tissue, we're kind of like, what does that mean really? And then you think of like a body worker, you kind of go, oh, like a massage. But I do much more than just massaging or working the tissue. And I look at like indicators of like inflammation and genetic markers for diet and everything else that does affect the tissue system. And I've been doing the exact business that I'm doing now for about maybe say 12 years.
Okay.
Prior to that, I did organic meal deliveries and juice bars and nutrition for 30 years.
Okay.
So
Okay, nice.
I do mostly hands on to my San Diego clients. And then I have got a very strong presence for virtuals. And I'm teaching people how to do what I would normally do in treatment here for them, but I'm teaching them virtually so that I can help women all across this globe.
I love that. So I discovered you. I think you met my business partner, Amanda, quite a few years ago, and she came in and had a session with you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then I had just kind of heard about you through different people, and I started seeing your videos on Instagram, and I love what you're doing on Instagram. I just love how it's so transparent and so natural, and you really speak to a lot of people. And I was like, God, I got to go in and do that. And so when I finally did come in for a session, after I left, I felt so good, and I felt so just strongly about like the work that you're doing. And I talked to Amanda about it, and I was just like, we have to have her on a podcast because there's so many questions I had for you during that session, but obviously there wasn't enough time. So I wanted to, really get you on here and ask you a bunch of different things. So
Yeah. Well, good. A lot of times too, when people are actually here in treatment, I want you to have a time out from life. We
yeah,
get so busy, so it's kind of nice just to come in and receive. I
yeah,
mean, really honestly, I I love helping women. Think about the times that we go through in our life. First off, we have a whole new life once we have our menstrual cycle. And then we kind of have these, okay, I'm adjusted, and we have this long adjustment for years. And then we have babies. And then we're like, hold it, my body is not under my control.
yeah,
What I'm doing isn't working anymore.
yeah.
Postpartum, that's a hard transition. And then if you've had multiple, and then what do we get? Perimenopause and menopause,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we get a lot of like hormonal changes, a lot of skin changes, and a lot of people, we've got so much modalities available to us, Carolina, about for that we could go to the doctors for to help us, all our injectables and all of our lasers and everything, all the surgeries. But there's also a lot of natural remedies that you never have to go and do those things for unless that's your right avenue. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that like to integrate them, especially here in Southern California, because we also have a lot of awareness about health and we fight for longevity and we're natural biohackers because of our lifestyle and exposure here. But then
Yes.
you get other people that never want to ever do an injectable. They're living in Wyoming, they're in Montana, they want to keep up their natural health and beauty without going to what they would call an extreme.
Right.
And so I really love like helping anyone in whatever avenue they're in, but taking it to the next level of what they can do in the privacy of their own home in a natural, restorative way that naturally gives you health and beauty all at the same time. I am committed and driven to that. You don't have to compromise. I get to teach you ways to restore your tissue from face, scalp for hair growth, face for lifting up, and then your body to keep it nice and sculpted as I'm making it all healthier.
Yep. So when I came in, I'll just give a quick little rundown of what I did when I came in to see you. You gave me, you took pictures and you looked at my posture. We talked about my posture and how I stand. Then you did some sort of like full body. It felt like a suction cup almost. And then you did then I went into the sauna to soften up my muscles. And then you did the actual fascia blasting, and I think that was the extent of the session, right? So why don't you explain to us what fascia is and why it's important?
Okay. My favorite topic. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. So we have got, it's almost like skin underneath our skin. It is an internal web and it has no beginning or end. So, for an example, if we have our hair strands and it came down and we back up into our scalp and then came down and we back up, then if we had a knot over here, it's going to be giving us a problem over here, right?
Yep.
So the idea is if we could keep adhesions out of our internal web system, that is our connective tissue system called fascia, unknotted, moving, keeping our mobility high, keeping our circulation high, our detox pathways by our lymphatic fluids high, keeping non compressed nerves so that the neurons from the body to the brain can communicate well together. And that's what I do. And I also look at like how diet can affect that for some people. A lot of people come in and they don't need that extra bump, but they might want it, or some people just can't figure out how to break the inflammation in their system. So, if we think about these adhesions, and then I have got where I am constantly getting a tug in my hair back here because of how I'm moving my head posture, it's going to be affecting that whole internal web. So when I go, okay, I can make you beautiful in here. I can have you feeling amazing when you're here. But if you walk out that door and your posture is like this, or you're like this, or you're like this, or you're hyperextending your knees, not using your biomechanics in your body correctly, your body has compensation. And what it does to compensate is put knots in your fascia. Guess what that looks like?
Tightness.
Cellulite.
Oh.
Cellulite is only a knot in your fascia connective tissue system that
Okay.
needs to be unknotted, conditioned, and combed out, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
tools that I'm using, right? There's all different sizes and shapes, but their idea is to take and to soften it by opening your lymphatic tissue and fluids, getting that moving, then putting you in the sauna that actually softens your deeper layers of fascia so
Okay.
that I can comb out deep layers of knots and let the body create all that circulation again, which is really nice because a lot of times when we have dull skin or puffiness or vein issues, a lot of times it's because of our circulatory system.
Mm-hmm.
And if our fascia has got adhesions in it, what it does is if like the client that just left, she really hyperextends her knees. And she's fabulous. She's well informed. She's like living a good clean life. She's a detox specialist where she trains people how to remove toxins out of their home. But she comes in, she's hyperextending her knees way back. Um, and so the body has that compensation, and we're getting fattiness built around her knees, even though she has 3 children, but not a pound overweight,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Okay.
so I get to teach her, well, that's your knees trying to save your knee joint. That's your fascia trying to save your knee joints by creating an adhesion there that started with one tiny little knot. And then they got another one, they got another one, I got another one, I got another one that now looks like a bulky area, like a huge inflamed calf, like a no ankle, like a fatty tissue arm, or like fatty rib cage, when all it is, it's just adhesion on top of adhesion on top of adhesions as your body is trying to rescue you and
Yeah.
get your attention. So over here going, hello, hello, hey, pay attention, right? But
Yeah.
we don't know the language it's trying to tell us.
Hmm.
So
And
fascia,
so through the fascia tools, you're massaging not the muscle, but what's under the muscle, or both? You're going muscle and fascia.
good question. So fascia lines every single strand of muscle. It's like you've taken the spaghetti noodle of the muscle and
Yep.
I've wrapped fascia around that. And then you've got a couple of those bound together, and then there's more fascia around that. And then a couple of those more pulled together, and then more fascia around that. That's what creates our size and our structure of our body
Okay.
and helps with the stability and the suspension. So, can I say more?
Yes, of
Okay,
course.
fabulous. So, if this continuous system that wraps around every single muscle fiber and weaves in and out of every organ, if you've got a knot in your fascia on your scalp, it can affect the plantar of your foot.
Wow.
So the magnitude of help or hindrance, if it's unhealthy,
Hmm.
could really be greatly helpful and greatly a hindrance to our well-being
It's
because
all.
it's all connected. And if you've got bad fascia, adhesions all over, your detox pathways are congested and clogged. You've got stuck inflammation. You've got something that you think's fat, but all it is some fat that's stuck in there between all the adhesions, along with some other toxins and all that inflammation. Um, and it's really hard. Like we get stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. And then when we get stiff, what do we do as a culture here? We don't move. We're taught, oh, it's painful. Don't touch it. You go to the Asian cultures, you get pain. They're saying, rub it, move it, try to stretch it, right? But we
Yes.
haven't been taught that in this culture.
Right. That
So,
is true.
so the moves and the stuff that I'm doing is softening the lymphatic fluids because it's right under our superficial fascia. If it's congealed and stuck and thick, it's clamping down on all of our superficial fascia.
Okay.
And then if we've got adhesions in our fascia, it's clamping down on our whole circulatory system, including the fascia system, excuse me, including the lymphatic system.
Awesome. And so the services that you offer besides the fascia blasting, what was that first thing you did to me where I had to put on that whole full body like stocking thing?
Right. So I don't really say I do fascia blasting because that's
Okay.
one component of fascia restoration. And it's called fascia therapy for the body.
Okay.
And your first session with me, I always do, whether we're doing it remotely and I have you send me certain pictures, or you come in my door here, I always start the first session teaching you about your body mechanics and posture. So
Yep.
that when you go out the door, you're not going back to the old ways and telling the patterns of the internal web system called fascia to go back and stay in that same old pattern. We're trying to
Makes sense.
retrain it so that it
Hmm.
doesn't have that poor compensation.
Okay. And then what was the second thing you did? The suction cup thing.
So I work with the lymphatic system, which is an endermology treatment. It's a large machine that has a suction and a rolling. It's European made, and in
Hmm.
Europe they use it for health. They use it for nerve connectivity. In Brazil. They use it for edema, water retention, cellulite, and then the United States it came into the United States as a cellulite helper.
Oh,
But think about this: the suction and a rolling can help somewhat of adhesions to unadhere, but it's hard to have it really change them and make it sustainable. So what it does is it almost drains your cell and pulls the toxins and the fluids out of there. But
okay.
I want to unadhere the adhesions all around that cell so that those toxins can stay out of that. So
Hmm.
I start with opening the detox pathways with the lymphatic system, using an endermology machine, put you in the sauna for further detoxification and softening of the fascia so that when I'm raking over it with certain tools, you have got um, it's more receptive. It's more responsive to what I'm doing versus if it's a hard edge, right? If it's a hard edge, I'm like coming up against this and I'm trying to like comb over it and it's hard edge. But if it's a soft, pliable, like sweater type material, I can weave in, I can grab adhesions, I can move that tissue around.
Okay.
Okay.
That's exciting. Okay. Good to know. I was wondering what it did. It felt really good. That's all I know. And then even afterwards, a couple days in after the session, I felt amazing. And I'm sure you've been doing all this stuff to yourself. So what have you noticed in your body from when you first began to now, 12 years later?
Right. So, it is, I went from when I was younger, I got myself obese. I let myself emotionally eat. I was raised on white trash food. I didn't really understand, don't eat out of a box or a frozen meal. I really understand all that. And so I let myself get out of overweight by 80 pounds more than I weigh today and release that by learning about personalized nutrition and taking responsibility for learning how to cook, learning what foods were right for me. And then oh 06 DNA came out. I started using that in oh 08 and I had already lost what I thought all my weight was. And then when DNA came out and I applied my DNA to my body, I released down another 18 pounds without any work. I didn't even know that I was heavier than what my natural body weight wanted to be. I thought that was my normal set point. But I was going and doing a lot of athletics then. So I was running marathons, I was doing triathlons, and I started building a body that because I've got like a boy's build. I don't have like that beautiful feminine curve, right? I've got kind of boy hips. And so my body was building where I was like hip, thigh, ankle. And instead of going hip, thigh, ankle, right? No
Hmm.
graduation down. So my ankles were as big as almost my thighs. And I didn't understand why. I'm like, okay, I'm eating right. I'm exercising like crazy. And I still had a lot of cellulite, especially on the back of my legs and some right in the middle of my thighs. I'm like, okay, what? So I started researching it more and more. And what happened was I ended up getting injured on my bottom of my feet, what they call plantar fasciitis. And I found fascia work for the tops of people's feet to help with the bottom coming up. And I'm
Hmm.
like, no one's ever treated the top of my feet. And I've done prolotherapy. I've done so many painful therapies on my feet. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get one of these tools. I started using it on myself, went back online, and I'm learning more about it. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I think there's a bigger picture to this game. And I started seeing people online really transforming their bodies in aesthetics, even though I was getting more and more relief from my feet and getting that to last longer and longer. Now I was like, okay, I want smaller ankles. I want no cellulite on the back of my thighs. I want to be able to rock a dress, a mini skirt, beautiful shorts, a beautiful cocktail dress, and not be self conscious about my legs anymore. And
Right.
so then I learn now that as I'm restoring and making our fascia healthy and delicious and mobile and moving throughout our whole internal system, I'm actually always carving beautiful shapes on my women so that I can have them look even better than what just going over the tissue blindly would do. And
Right.
so, I really enjoy that component because women were judged, unfortunately, but we are judged. Well, life is life, right? Men typically are judged on their wallet. Us women were judged on our aesthetics. And
Mm.
so if we just kind of go, okay, well, this is why fight it, right? And
Yeah.
so if I can make my women feel more beautiful by the time they leave here and each time enhancing that, that is always like my mission and my goal.
Yeah.
And so I also now have taken that to where I am teaching and performing the treatments for face, restoring and trying to lift our cheekbones, right? Trying to lift our face up, trying to stop the jowls from happening, trying to define our chin and pull back our necks more. And that's fun. And then you can even do it where you're doing it on your scalp. And then you're starting to get all these little baby hairs as your hair is growing back on your scalp. So it's endless, but just think about it. If the tissue is unhealthy underneath, it's not letting the blood supply, which the blood supply needs to get up there for collagen production,
Mhm.
releasing the edema and the toxins that are laying superficially on our face, on our scalp, and on our body.
Okay. Wow, this is so interesting. I love it. So you mentioned cellulite and how, fascia therapy can really help with cellulite. Is there anything else you can do to minimize the look of cellulite? Is it
I would
drinking
say
more water? Is it skin brushing?
I would say that anything that is improving your mobility can help with cellulite. And so if you think about if you're dehydrated, are you going to be able to move very well?
No.
No.
What about yoga?
Yoga, any kind of even doing like your flow classes where you're extending out and you're moving the muscles and the tissue and the joints and stuff like that. That is always going to help. Foam rolling, skin brushing, all of that helps. All your scraping, all of that helps. Even doing things like pulling, I call them where you like pinch. If you go to my Instagram, you can see plenty where I'm teaching women that don't have tools how to use your hands on things, right? Now,
I saw
is it
that.
is it as efficient? No. And here is why. If your fascia, connective tissue, your skin underneath your skin basically is like hair like fibers, would it be better to use a foam roller? Say this is a foam roller on this to get out the knot? Or would it be better to use a combing type mechanism to
Yeah.
get through that knot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, anytime that we take our muscle and we put pressure against it, say foam rolling, and then we release it, it tells our body to produce or to force hydration within that area. And then our body goes, oh, that's right. It used to have hydration. And I like that feeling. I miss that feeling. I didn't even realize it wasn't there anymore. And the innate system starts trying to get those fibers to glide around each other, which will bring more hydration in there. So it all helps.
And so,
Even
so speaking of hydration, you gave me like a little thing of collagen while I was there, which I ended up getting. But I also saw a video that you did on Instagram about your cucumber mint drink. And I swear to God, Tamara, I drink that every day. And I
good.
don't know what it is about it, but it just feels so good. Like
Oh,
I was trying to explain it to a girlfriend of mine. I'm like, it feels kind of like I'm like this wilted flower. And when I drink it, I'm like back to life.
okay. Yes.
So why don't you
Um,
tell us a little bit about hydration and, your drink and how you
well,
found it and all that?
yeah, and let me start that by saying the exact reason why you felt so good is
Hmm.
because with the right hydration, it means you have the right minerals.
Right.
And minerals are so good for so many things, but first and foremost, it helps calm the central nervous system and it helps give us cognition. So
Okay.
it happens in seconds, right?
Yep.
And and so with the cellular hydration, it is imperative to be bringing in minerals if you're stressed, if you're an overdoer, if you don't have a good water system in your home, which I've got a delicious one here. Um, but we need those minerals to help our bodies function, know what to do. I explain it like if you've got every delicious thing in that blender, all that cucumber, all that mint, either lemon or grapefruit, and you've got some good clean water in that, and you are going to that blender and you're turn on, but it's not working because you don't have it plugged in and it needs the conduit, the communication. by plugging it in for all of it to do its magic so that it can get in here and
Mhm.
do its magic. So it's like telling your body, oh, I've given you the proper electricity,
Mhm.
the proper components to have good brain, to have good, clear energy, to have brilliant, bright eyesight immediately, calming to that central nervous system, all by giving you cellular hydration. And I use that, I switch between cucumbers and grapefruit. Excuse me, between lemon and grapefruit. I will do sometimes basil or cilantro. My favorite one is a pink grapefruit, mint, and cucumber. And I use half of each. And I always say start with a little bit of mint. I like a lot of flavor,
Yeah.
so I put a lot of mint in mine. But then, if you're doing a basil or cilantro, those are also very strong flavors. And so just start with a little and work your way up to see what is pleasing to your palate. And then,
So is the key ingredient that sea mineral thing, the vials, the little vials that you put in there?
no, you could not even open that ampule and put that in, but the sea minerals are extremely helpful. I will not travel. I will never go on an airplane without having those minerals. And there's two different types. Can I step away here and grab them
Yeah, of
so I can
course.
show them? A lot of people don't really understand what an ampule is.
I didn't even know those things existed. So you can explain what they do and
Okay. So when you got minerals and they are exposed to air and light, they get denatured. They get less connectivity in them, right? So what this company has done is taken and condensed it all into this one ampule of glass to
yep.
protect the energetic field of it and retain all of those minerals. Now, I'm going to show you the second type, which is called the hypers. And so the days that I am doing hot yoga, and if I was doing a podcast like this, or if I was doing public speaking, I would need a hyper one, which is just in a yellow tube.
And what is that? Why is that one different?
It's got more concentration of this. So
Okay.
on a daily base, I just take the natural original one. And then if I'm flying, hot yoga, public speaking, anything I'm nervous, or say like the other day I had trouble with electricity here. I was spun out. I mean, I was so exhausted by the time I finished my workday that day. And the next day, I used two of these.
Okay.
Well, say I was going to have a long flight and I was trying to help my body not get dehydrated, I would use two of these during the flight.
Okay.
And they're easy. You just break the end and I pour it right into my blender mixture that we were talking about. However, on a regular day, if I don't have that, I'm just opening this, pouring it into my glass and drinking it.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's in it exactly? Just minerals from the ocean?
It's minerals from the sea that have been all cleaned. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I love
Yes.
that stuff. And I want to thank you because I like crave it now. And my husband loves it. And he's always like, are you making the green drink today? And I'm like, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love to hear that you're passing that on, right?
Yep. And I've been drinking since I saw you. I've been drinking my water, half my weight in
Half your body
ounces.
weight half your body weight in ounces of water every day. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you need 50 ounces of water. For every caffeinated beverage, every hot yoga or hot, sweaty exercise, or anxiousness, anxiety. So it could be like even excitement, right? So anxiety doesn't always look like a negative. Sometimes it could be excitement for something. Like today, I get to have my birthday dinner with 7 of my girlfriends, right? I
Hmm.
looked at that group of women. I'm like, thank you, God. The group of women that I am surrounded with are soulful, brilliant, entrepreneurial, unstoppable, kind, loving, gorgeous women. And God has blessed me with them. And it gets me so emotional and I get so excited to have them all in one group
Yeah.
that I am having anxiousness out of excitement today. So this is to be a great opportunity for me to take an ampule,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
the hyper
And
one.
you get like discounts on that too, because I remember you sent me a code or something and I got a discount. So I'll
I
send people to your website, which is it
Yeah,
tamararenee.com?
TamaraRenee.com.
Yep. And then
And I'm
you have a lot of good stuff on there. I was looking through.
thank you. I'm entrepreneur brain, so I've got like that creative brain, and my website got a little too, I want to save the world, right? I'm like that girl. I want to save the world. I want to save all the women in the world, and so I went to my site and I'm like, oh, they need to know this, they need to know that, need to know this,
Yeah.
and then my social media helper, she's like, you're confusing them. It's too many words. They don't have enough time. You need to save them in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you help me?
For
Because
sure.
my brain just goes cray cray, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what three things do you think are the most important things we could be doing for our whole bodies, mind, face? What are the three most important things you think?
I think the three things that are probably instrumental in wellness or sickness is proper hydration,
Hmm.
sleep, and stress management.
Yep. However that is, right? Like yoga, meditation, art, however you get it.
Laugh therapy, hug,
Friends.
hug therapy, friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Okay.
I mean, when many times we look in the mirror and we're like, oh gosh, I feel like I'm more bags today or puffier, or I just look tired. I always say, like, if we worked really on those other components on a regular base, it helps us look better,
Mhm.
therefore feel better and perform better from
Mhm.
moment to moment. And then, there's so many other things that we could do, like jade rollers and, those type of things that can really help us also. But the fundamentals, if you try to get those down, it's just like a springboard from there. So we
Mhm.
get this dominoes effect, right? We've got a foundation laid. It's so easy to make a lot more improvement that we've got the fundamentals in order.
There was one phrase you kept saying when I was there in the session with you, something like it's easier to catch up than
Oh,
something. What was
one
it?
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was single
Okay.
when most of my girlfriends were getting married and having babies, right? So
Mhm.
I then started having younger friends because my friends were having babies and doing the baby thing. And then
Mhm.
I started dating younger, right? Because, all the men my age were like, they had their families.
Yeah.
So I have realized that my role on this planet is to help the women by me learning the hard way. Meaning, I'm playing catch up. I'm trying to learn how to save my skin post menopause, 11 years with no hormones. How am I going to keep my body moving? How can I keep it where I can still put on a bathing suit and go, okay, this isn't like it was when you were 30, but it's still, you can rock it,
Mhm.
and also like keeping my body feeling out of pain and keeping the mobility high and all of those things. So I'm doing the catch up. So I'm learning all the things so that I can then teach all my women how to keep up.
Mhm.
Keeping up is so much easier. It's less frustration, it's less money, it's less time.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying, please try to learn what I'm trying to give to you and keep your body up, keep your
Mhm.
beauty up, and that way you're not going to be me, I mean, and not, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy at 61 to move and feel and do all that I do. I run circles around a lot of people,
Yeah.
but um but I wish my skin was prettier. I wish I didn't have the sag there. I wish my butt was prettier, right? And those kind of things. But so keep up versus catch up.
Yes. I love that. That just kind of stayed with me. And I'm like, all right, got to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Um,
also too, like I think that women like yourself, you came into planet Earth and one of God's gifts was natural beauty. That's one of your gifts. You got that. And I actually think that women that have come in like you, they want it's like this. It's like if you've been a billionaire or a millionaire, and then we've had an economy crash, and you have to sell your house, sell your boat, sell your jet, sell your cars, and live in an apartment with your family. That's a lot harder to do than someone that's always budgeted. They've always had their apartment, they've always had the Toyota, and they're going through their life. So
Mhm.
I think with women like you and your beauty, it's like you want to keep that, and that it's more important to you to keep it because you don't want to lose something you've already been gifted.
Mhm.
So I like that you have a lot of your self-care practices. When people are on my treatment table, I can tell when their body is happy or not, right? And
Mhm.
a lot of times people want it to be happy, but they don't know how to achieve it. I could tell you had a lot in play that your body is absolutely loving, right?
Yeah.
So, yes.
Very lucky for sure. Um, Collagen. I wanted to ask you about that just because I think there's a lot of confusion out there on what's a good source of collagen. Are you supposed to drink bone broth? Are you supposed to put powders in your smoothies? Or I actually also bought those little collagen chocolates.
Yes.
I bought the liquid collagen too. So I've been taking both, and I
Fabulous.
love the way both taste. So that's great because I have an issue with just some of the collagen just tastes kind of funky. But
It does.
what are your thoughts about that? How do you pick a good collagen? How much should you take? All that.
Well, I think that it varies depending on the quality, your genetic skin type. So, you know how you've got thicker skin than I do? I've got
Hmm.
a thinner white girl skin. So, I'm always going to need more collagen than you will,
Okay.
because you have naturally higher producing collagen than I do. And
Okay.
then as we get older, you're going to increase yours through age. And I always say, buy the collagen that you will take, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, I love bone broth because it also helps with gut bacteria. And then when you've got gut issues, it gives your body systemic inflammation and then brings your hormones over long term out of balance. So there's so many factors there. And I use bone broth quite often for a late night snack, like when I feel like, oh gosh, I feel still hungry, but I don't want to eat before I go to bed, or something warm first thing in the morning. And you know how I add things to it? I keep mine pretty simple besides herbs. I'll put like a slice of lemon and I'll just put herbs. Now, so that the herbs doesn't get stuck in my teeth, I
Mhm.
literally wash all the stem, the leaf, and everything, put that in, and I take my tongs, I take that, take it out, and then I drink that stuff down.
Okay.
So that's always really good. And I use a brand that actually doesn't clog up my freezer. And comes in a pouch that's a double concentrated of the collagen in there. And then I add water to that pouch and I put that all into a pot and cook that and warm that up on the stove.
And that's the bone broth.
And that's the bone broth. And I really like the pouch ones. I've used so many different ones through the years that I got sick and tired of my freezer being congested. And I've got a lot of cryo packs in my freezer for my clients and for my work and for training people. And so those, I need space for that. So the pouch ones, and they're also double collagen in them, right?
What are they called?
They're called Beauty in the Broth. It's also on my shop page on my website.
Okay.
Then I put a scoop in my morning coffee of marine based one. I can send you the link of that from the full script if you would like. It
Okay.
has the most neutral flavor, meaning like if I just tasted it all by itself, it tastes almost like a dried milk. You
Hmm.
remember I'm
Like
a cow
colostrum?
aging myself, and then also, yeah, I remember a little bit of dried milk when I was younger. It's very, very slightly sweet without
Okay.
having a weird flavor, and I put that in my coffee, and then once a day, I do the Collagen Beauty beverage, the one that I gave you, and I serve each one of my clients that come in the door, I give them a little shot of that also, and then the little chocolate chewy,
I
which
love
is
that.
like a Tootsie Roll, and I
Yep.
use one of those a day also. So now I use 4 a day most of the times besides the summer. I tend to then not bring in the bone broth as much, and I might use it more, like once or twice a week.
Okay.
Um, and then what I try to do is okay, you know how the body loves to crave something? And then we
Mm-hmm.
give it what it craves. It's kind of like when you drank that drink and your body went, I'm a beautiful flower, right? So I like to try to think, okay, Saturdays and Sundays, I take off my collagen. And then Mondays, I come back up and I restore my body with all of it, where it's just kind of craving it again.
Okay. Good tip. I like that.
Good.
Okay, what other questions did I have for you? Oh, I have done rolfing for a long time. And for people who don't know what rolfing is, I mean, they call them bone scrapers. And so it's almost like they go under the muscle and massage the fascia. But now, as you have told me, fascia is basically in between the fibers of the muscle. So it's this visual that I've had of fascia like sitting under the muscle is false, you know?
Yeah, but you got to remember, fascia's only been in the medical journals since 2006 from a French hand scientist. We
Really?
have been cutting through that web, all the surgeons, everything, and not even asking what that is or understanding that it also houses all of our emotions, the physical and emotional traumas, because it houses our nerves.
Yes.
And so, it's super impactful. But the idea is like, I love Ralphie. So you think about it. If you've got a bone that's being pulled over because of the fascia system tugging on it, and then I go right around that bone and I'm pushing in deep, trying to release the fascia system to help the alignment of the skeletal system come back in place.
Yes.
And that's basically what they're doing.
Right.
They're working on that deep, trying to manipulate it so that it can move over and get back into that original place, and hopefully trying to get your body to hold it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Hmm. But it's very different, than what you do.
Okay, so
In a lot of ways. I mean, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I think they're both great. They're
I
just
agree.
so, so different.
Okay, so if fascia is hair like strands,
Hmm.
and I've got tightness or a knot that is causing tightness underneath there, aren't I going to be better with a mechanism that combs fascia?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I love. There's not always one way.
Yeah.
If I would say my ideal world, right, I would start and I would bring someone in the door and I would do a fascia release session on them.
Hmm.
And then a day or two later, I would send them to a Rolfer and see then if he can get a bone structure to move over a little bit differently and a little stronger, try to hold it. Then come back in a couple days later on my table so that wherever the body's trying to compensate and pull it back, I'm trying to undo so that I can hold it.
Yeah.
Right? I
Okay.
mean, that's the best of both worlds, but we don't always get all that, right? So I try to come up with like, what does Tamara feel is the most effective way that I know of, and that it feels right in my heart, and that's what I do, right? And
Hmm.
that's why I bring in nutrition a lot in what I do. And that's why I love to run the DNA. I mean, after this meeting with you, after this podcast, I've got a client that I have known. We did Trace Anderson's in Manhattan together and Maui
Wow.
together. I have known that girl 15 years. And now I've got to tell her that her vegan diet does not work for her. She does not
Oh,
any animal protein. And the number one macronutrient that she needs is protein.
wow.
The
And then,
number
and that
one,
you found that out through running her DNA?
running her DNA. And that
Okay.
she likes like more of yoga, Pilates, restorative stretching classes. And she needs vigorous, high intensity exercise 2 to 3 hours a week.
Ooh, she needs some flow lift.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
And
this has been amazing.
yeah. And so, I'm scared to tell her because it's going to break her heart. I don't know how we're going to get her to transition, but I know that she's really not feeling well. And this woman does well, and that she could buy or do anything she wants. And so, now I'm like, okay, you've tried everything and now you're back here, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Try
now I'm
do
gonna,
something new.
yeah, love up on her in a different way.
In addition to your fascia sessions for the body, I know you have add-ons for the face.
Hmm.
So do you want to maybe quickly tell us about the different things you can add to the sessions?
Yeah, so basically, I've got different things. I've got all type of cupping machines. I have got shockwave machines for someone that's really bound and that they need more of a shockwave vibration to even get their body responding to release.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like what a vibration kind of plate would, right? And then I also have radio frequency, medical grade, so that we can actually use that to tighten, but we also can use it to melt a fat cell and drain all of those toxins out there. So it's permanent for reducing fat. And so I do snatch chins, I do bellies, I do back of arms, I do, banana roll underneath the booty or booty lifting.
Hmm.
And let me think, I do plasma pin, which I'm going to do on my eyes on the
That.
21st. And so that's like doing little tiny microscopic burns in
Oh,
a pattern that actually shrinks up your skin. It's really good for like a crepey skin. So,
okay.
if you think about a woman that is heavy in her belly, that skin is like thicker. But then
Hmm.
you see a woman that's got all those stretch marks from birthing babies and baby stretching her skin, and that's really like crepey skin. It's better with like a crepier skin.
Okay.
So thinner tissue skin. And so I do that. I do microneedling with stem cells or without, depending on your budget. What else do I do? My face, my fascia face system, I do everything in the sense that I'm steaming you, I'm washing you, steaming you, masking you, serum you, I'm cryo shocking you at the end, as well as doing buccal massage and fascia tools for the face. I have just lymphatic work for people that are post surgery or they're toxic for whatever reason, and we need to start by upping their detox pathways and getting that lymph fluid moving. Let me think what else.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay. And then last question for, women, you're helping women all ages, right? 20s,
Oh,
30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Do you think the needs change throughout all those years, or is it all the same? It's just hydration, good diet, getting your body moving.
so think about this. The older we get, the less human growth hormone, the less collagen, the less things get produced. So the
Hmm.
more specific to your body's needs, the better. So I think the older you get, the more you need the exact diet for yourself. The older you get, the more you got to reminded to drink right, eat all your vegetables, eat all your proteins, make sure you're bringing in lots of quality fibers and quality fats, make sure that you are getting adequate sleep and managing your stress. And so the weaker the body gets, the less its ability to respond and recover from things, right?
Hmm.
And so, like, say if you tripped in your high heel when you're 18, your body can recover from that a lot more than if I tripped in my high heel at 61.
Right.
So then you need to do more time, more therapy, more patience. I always say my self-care between the age 50 to age 60 doubled.
You have to.
Doubled. Have to. And
Yeah.
I don't even allow myself my coffee in the morning until I've done my 40 minutes of self-care between bed stretches and beauty stretches in my skin, in my face, lymphatic work, putting my lymph oil on me, steaming my face. I mean, 40 minutes and I'm hustling so I can have my coffee.
And so how many times a week are you working out and stretching, or what's your regimen?
Well, for me, I love activity and I love to keep my body moving. Like, I'll be 62 on Valentine's Day. And I really feel like if I don't get exercise at least 5 times a week, I start feeling like a little bit less limber
Hmm.
and a little bit less circulation. So I exercise 5 to 6 days a week for sure.
Yep, that's great. That's why you look amazing, and I want to be you when I grow up.
Ah, thank you. I think, really having a morning routine is important.
Yep.
And young mothers, they can't have that, right? It's a little
Yeah.
harder for them during that time, but other than that, because our body's been laying stiff for hours and just jumping out of bed and getting to your coffee without hydration, without doing a little bit of movement before that, your body will love you. You will notice it significantly if you just spend a little time stretching or little time on a vibration plate or a rebound or anything before you've even gone to your exercise.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
this. I really,
you.
really enjoyed it, and I love talking with you. And I hope people go and check out your website. It's tamararenee.com. And if you
Yeah,
feel
can I
like really doing something amazing for yourself, I highly recommend your session. So,
yeah, thank you. And if you actually went to my Instagram page too, it'll kind of give you like an idea so that when you get a visual and then you can go to my website and read more.
yep.
And for the people that are really interested, and my Instagram handle is Fit Fine Fascia.
Fit Fine Fascia. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tamara. I will be
Thank
in
you,
touch. I'm going to
Moses.
come and see you in March. I'm looking
Okay.
forward
I
to.
look forward to it.
All right. Thanks, lady.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye. So, what did you think?
That was a great interview. I remember how much I loved my session with her. I had a couple scars from some like skin cancers I got removed, and she like really flattened them because my scars sometimes keloid. And I loved it. And just seeing all the benefits of what she does like reminded me of how much impact we actually can have on the health of our own skin. And like we exercise our bodies, but we don't think of all the things we could be doing with our skin, whether it's on our own or if we're in San Diego, you can come see her or you can do a virtual session with her and learn how to do all those techniques on your own.
Yeah, I was really excited to hear that she's doing a lot of remote stuff. So, and she has a great Instagram account. It's Fit Fine Fascia, and she posts a lot of self massage, self like lymph moving and skin brushing, and a lot of really cool tips. So, I highly recommend you follow her or go to her website. It's tamararenee.com. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.